Which I totally agree with.
You have to introduce
Yes, this is
yourself.
Donna Dubain, who came a little late.
Sorry.
Donna Dubain.
She's going to stay long too.
And I came a little bit late to the work too. I think I was one of the last ones to join us with you all. My first introduction to viola was the book, just like David had said, because in college that was the book we read on improvisation. However, I went to San Francisco State, and the way they used Viola's book, I realized it was very different. All of our improvs were in bomb shelters, and they were very serious and dramatic, and you know there should be no laughter. It was the 60s; things were serious, So anyway,
Well, it was guerrilla street theater.
That's right. And my primary training was more the classics and traditional theater background. And so when I came down to Los Angeles and I was in a play, a friend of mine called me up, who I went to school with, Gary Austin, who started the Groundlings, and he said, I'm forming a little improv company, come and do it. And I go, well, I don't do improv. And it terrified me, actually, to tell you the truth. And so I went and I worked with him, and I worked out with him. I was catatonic. I never said anything on stage at the beginning of it, because I went into theater because of Shakespeare and Pinter and Chekhov, and because I felt they could express things that I didn't really have any words to say personally. I could interpret. And anyway, then he took me aside one day and said, don't worry, I said, I'm not funny. I'm not funny. And he said, don't worry, just tell the truth. Just get up there and tell the truth. And then people laughed. And that hurt my feelings. That hurt,
The truth really that people laugh or cry.
I was telling the truth, Anyway, so and then that got me into, obviously, Groundlings. I got much more comfortable with it. I took some time away from that, had a child or two, and started with Brouhaha with Pat and David. And Edie and I had been longtime friends from San Francisco before we were in the Groundlings together also. So when Viola started this recasting that everybody's talking about, I got a call from Pat and Edie saying, you should come down, and do this. And again, I was back to being terrified. Just in a second, I couldn't believe it. Because I came into the room and there were so many people there, and I had read her book. I mean, to me, this was like an idol of a sort. And then I was going to be in her presence, and in my mind, and be judged by her on top of it. And these two were giving me advice the whole way, each year. Don't tell anywhere of the Groundlings. Don't mention Groundlings. And go up and schmooze. Everybody else is talking to her. Let her know.
Tell her it just came to you. Tell her it just came to you.
Yeah.
He said, don't do the bear. Don't do the bear.
Eat her coffee cake.
Buy her a meringue.
Exactly. Which was so great because they were so supportive of me doing it. And then I did my little scene. All she only had us do one thing. And I know that I made the bed while, during the scene. And then at the end, it was silent. And there wasn't a whole lot of laughter. Nobody applauds or anything. And then Viola just looked around and she goes, I saw the bed. Did you see the bed? That was it. And then she called me a few days later, and all of a sudden I was in a show with these incredible people. And that was it too. It's like the support that you get. What I remember Edie and I saying when I just go into a Spolin show, we were so relieved not to carry tons of wigs and shoes. Oh my God, a Browning show. You had a trunk with you every night. And this was just I can't express how freeing it is to show up and not know what's going to happen. And jump into the space,
When Viola would say something like, I saw the bed, that is not a praise or it's not an approval, disapproval, it's what is. And Viola had this great comment. She said, my work is about making the invisible visible. And when you hear when I did a bit at Paul Sills' workshop in Wisconsin, and we created this where of a Winnebago. At the end, and I felt so exhilarated, and at the end, Paul was just sitting there, and he goes, looks at everybody and says, I saw that damn Winnebago. And that was it.
Now get it off my stage.
Yeah, exactly. But
Who's got the key?
it's the making visible of the invisible, and that's really the essence of the work.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like what she said to me, because the first time I did detailing the where, which was you just arrive on stage and you see a where, and then you say what the where is, and you use things in the where. And when I finished and left the stage from the back of the room, all I heard was, finally.
Yeah.
You were in.
We just wait to see it.
Gary and I originally met through the Mime Guild, and Gary was doing a mime act with his partner, and I was doing what I call American pantomime. But my American pantomime came from Viola Spolin's Space Object. Because I liked Marcel Marceau, I thought he was great. I liked Richard Shepard, that was great. But they're very dancey, very stylized kind of mimes. And I didn't wear a white face, I couldn't hack it on my skin. Every time you go,
That's why you wear the
can't wipe it
gloves.
on the black shirt.
Red gloves.
So I didn't wear that, and my approach to mine was, with just a little bit of sharing, you could just do acting without props, and you make and she had a thing in there about visualization, about seeing, and she has the thing where you see the object before you touch it, and if you can't see it, then don't touch it. But if you can see it in your mind's eye, the clearer it gets, the easier it is to pick the object up and use it. And that was mine. Instead of using your hand to do this in order to show that you're picking up the object.
She said that's telling.
Yeah, that's
and
telling.
If you don't see it, you are in your head, and all you can do is tell about it.
Yeah.
But when you see it,
You just
finally, and it's
Finally.
all of those things.
pick it up and use it.
You should have that shirt made.
Yeah, so with that, and that's a great lead into all of this stuff, we're going to try to work with the where, making the invisible visible, and some of Viola's games, and I think we're all ready to play. Yeah?
Finally.
Right.
All right.
Finally.
Okay.